Attempt number 3. Very quick video review of 3 Kielder products, one of which I have left at the workshop, so it won't even feature in this, but it doesn't matter anyway. Just my opinion, having used these for a bit now. The Kielder torch is rubbish. If you really must have a torch to go with the, assume you've already got another Kielder product and you feel like it would be handy to have one that runs off the batteries, then I mean it does work, but hopefully you can see how the hinge there, which as far as I can see, I'm sure I've tried to tighten this up, is barely able to hold itself up. If you imagine having it suspended, the merest tap will, it's hopeless. It's not magnetic, which when working on cars is obviously super useful to have, but this isn't. It has a hook which is on these stupid rubber. This is rubber. It comes off that fairly easily, fall off. I mean, you can imagine if you're working on suspension, you maybe can find something to hang the hook on, and then directing that is a complete lottery. It's not very bright. It does last for absolutely ages on a charge of a 4 amp hour battery, but I mean really it's pathetic. It's cheap though. I don't know if I can see I'm not sure that the one that I usually use is to hand to compare it to anyway, but so yeah, you can get one for, it's probably worth about £10 maybe. I think they usually go for about 15. It's not really worth, they're better off buying a better quality torch. The angle grinder, which I should say that the first thing I bought, which isn't even here, is the 700 Newton meter torque wrench, 1/2 inch, and that is has so far been really good, which this isn't. It isn't it, I should say. But I've left it at the workshop. The torque wrench is good though. It's I don't know what the lesser powered ones are like, not having used them, but the 700 Newton meter one, which is the most powerful one they seem to make, has not had, I don't think I've had any issues with it on any car work at all. It's been, yeah, on really quite stubborn, tough stuff, really rusted on suspension stuff. That's just it's not as good as the big Milwaukee stuff, but it's cheaper. And yeah, it's good, and the battery lasts for ages, and it has been good so far, and I've had it for maybe 6 months, and I used it at home and also in a professional workshop, which is where it is at the moment, and it's not struggled with anything. It's been fine. It doesn't have the build quality of, for example, Milwaukee stuff, but it's cheaper and it's fine. The angle grinder, I was excited to get a cordless angle grinder. I already had the 2 batteries, or I probably wouldn't have taken a gamble on another Kielder product. Feels all right. A colleague has the Milwaukee brushless angle grinder, which it should be comparable to, this being brushless, and it's a sort of similar size. This is slightly lighter. This spins slightly faster, or it sounds like it spins slightly faster than the Milwaukee one, but the Milwaukee one you can lean on definitely harder. I've not had it for long, and I'm already having to send it back because it started to cut out. The first few times I assumed it was because I was leaning on it hard, although I wasn't leaning on it as hard as I have leant on a Milwaukee cordless angle grinder, which hasn't been any issue with that. Then it cut out after about 5 minutes work with a couple of flappy discs, which obviously you can't really be leaning on that hard enough to cut out, because they're flexible. So that was immediately very disappointing, very poor. Yeah, I've got to send it back because it just cuts out regularly now. Very disappointing. So I have 3 products: this, and the impact wrench. So this is, I think I bought the first one maybe 6 months ago. So far I've had to send back 1 battery, which went conk on the first discharge, which was discharged fully by first the impact wrench, and then this, which I'd left on, flattened the battery. It wouldn't ever recharge, had to send that back. This I've used in total for maybe 30 minutes, and that's pushing it. I've probably used it for far less than that. It would have been a tiny bit of grinder disc, tiny bit of cutting disc, almost all flappy, prior to some welding work, and conked out already. When it was running okay. As I say, didn't have the power of a Milwaukee. The Milwaukees are more expensive, but not that much more expensive, I don't think. And if I'd have had the Milwaukee batteries already, I would have felt like this maybe isn't really much of a bargain. I think you can get the Milwaukee one for maybe £20 more. So if you have the batteries, but then again, that's it, isn't it? You buy into one brand and then you have to stick with it to an extent. So that's been poor so far. Yeah, so out of 3 products, this, and the impact wrench. The impact wrench, good. This, just not worth buying, rubbish. This, potentially okay, but so far, with my use, conked out almost immediately, rubbish. The batteries, one's been fine. Well, they've both been fine really, but I've already in 6 months had to send 1 of the 2 batteries back that I have, both of which were brand new 4-amp-hour batteries, which I've not had much use out of at all. Probably both of them have had less than 3 charges each, if that. So not great really. Impact wrench, good. In terms of being suitable for a professional workshop, only one of them has had any professional type battering from me, and that's the impact wrench, and that's been okay so far. But out of a 3-year warranty, that's only 6 months in, so we'll see. This conked out almost immediately, so unsuitable. This unsuitable for any sort of use really. It's just rubbish. And the batteries, one of them conked out within the first 6 weeks with hardly any use, so it's a shame. Yeah, it's a shame because they represent a good alternative to the regular brand if they were better, frankly. Anyway, that's that. I might do an update on this once, because I'm going to send it back and see if it's any better. I've got a horrible feeling it will come back exactly the same as it left, but if it comes back fixed and usable in a professional environment, then I'll update, because and obviously that's the outcome I want. Anyway, I hope that's useful to somebody. Bye bye.